All right, so we're going to get started. And before we get centered, I actually want to quickly either remind you or teach you, depending on if you've done this before, a breathing technique called Kapalabhati, or the breath of fire. And Kapalabhati actually translates to mean skull shine breath. So it's a quick exhale that happens at the abdomen that starts to build energy at the navel and light in the brain. So if we want to kind of turn our awareness away from the stresses of the external world. This is a great way to do that. It helps to build energy. It helps to bring a lot of clarity to our perception. And the way that we're moving the abdomen also helps to tone the abdominals as well, helping to strengthen those areas. And with a quick moving of the abdomen, we're actually stoking digestion as well. So lots of reasons to do this one. If you haven't done it before, it's a quick exhale through the nose from the abdomen. So the belly snaps back, the air shoots out, and then you don't even think about the inhale. The inhale is instantaneous. So an analogy that's often used for this technique is blowing out a candle. So if you had a candle in front of you, just quick, blow it out. You don't even think about the inhale. Again, the breath is done through the nose. It's almost like trying to blow out a candle with your nose. It's like you can't get it, so you just keep going for a while. Okay. Now we're going to practice that for about 30 seconds to start, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll go back into the practice of it a few, like two more times. um, you're going to try to sit as tall as you can, so sitting on a couple of blankets or a block or in a way that works well for you to maintain a tall spine is going to create space in the front of the abdomen. Cool, cool. So getting started, sit nice and comfortably, but also nice and tall. Let your eyes close. And as you tune inward, I'd like you to become aware of your abdomen. Maybe even letting the breath drop down into your abdomen. In a moment, we'll begin this practice of the breath of fire. And just a reminder that it's happening from the abdomen. If you try to do it from the chest, you'll start to hyperventilate. So just try to keep the movement down here by the navel. Okay. So for our first round, going for about 30 seconds, go ahead and take a deep breath in to begin. Breath of fire. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Feel sensation for a moment, maybe starting to feel that lightness in the head, the energy at the navel, the clearing of your respiratory system. And for the second round, we'll do the breath for about 45 seconds. So just adding 15 seconds to it. Just taking a deep breath in to begin. Deep breath in. This time, hold the breath in at the top of the inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly exhale 1. Feeling that light in the brain, that energy around the navel. And again, that clearing of the respiratory system. And we'll move into one final round of the practice, this time going for 60 seconds. And so taking a deep breath in, we'll begin. Deep breath in. Again, hold the breath in at the top of the inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhale slowly. Feel lightness in the brain, the clearing of the lungs and nostrils, heat or energy at the navel. You might feel a quietness to your mind, a steadiness energetically, less frantic or anxious, yet still alert. Staying with those sensations for just a few more breaths. And then with your next inhale, take a deeper, fuller breath. And bring the palms together at the heart and lower the chin, honoring yourself as you are in this moment, body, breath, energy, and mind. It's from that place within you that we'll practice tonight. Go ahead and rub the palms together, creating heat. Taking the heated palms over your eyes, gently brushing over the head, down the neck, bringing yourself back to the space around you. Good. So you can practice that breathing technique almost anytime you want to. Good to do first thing in the morning, terrible to do after a meal. So try to make sure the belly is semi-empty when you do that. But it's a great way to wake up and to just kind of clear off stuff, if you know what I mean. So with that, let's come onto our backs. Coming to lay down, knees to your chest when you get there, and taking your time with that transition. And when the knees do come into the chest, it might feel just natural or organic just to rock gently on the spine from side to side, massaging those muscles that run along the spinal column into the floor, and breathing with whatever you're feeling in those spaces. Sometimes it can just feel good to have the backs of our bodies resting on the ground. No pun intended, but it can make us feel grounded. Good. Now bring the knees to center, so no longer rocking, but keep them drawn in to your chest and bring your arms down by your sides. You'll feel the core engage when you let go of the legs. And with your inhale, lift your arms toward the ceiling and all the way overhead, knuckles on the floor above you. Then exhale, release your arms back down to your sides. Good. Again, inhale, lift the fingertips toward the ceiling and all the way overhead. And exhale, release back down. Again, arms lift, inhale. Exhale, release. Continuing to move the arms, inhale, extend your legs toward the ceiling, pull the toes back. Exhale, release the knees back into the chest, arms down. Inhale, arms lift, legs extend toward the ceiling, pull the toes back. And exhale, everything comes back down. Please continue. Pulling the toes back at the top, feeling the backs of the legs lengthen. Exhale, returning. And there is that core engagement here as you continue. Moving with your breath. Inhale, extending. Exhale, releasing. Good. Inhale, lift the legs, arms overhead. Leave the legs extended. Bring your arms back down to your sides. Good. Pull the toes back on both legs. Take a deep breath in. With your exhale, extend your right leg forward about 4 inches off the floor. Inhale, lift the leg back up. Exhale, take the left leg forward about 4 inches off the floor. Inhale, lift back up. Try to keep the lower back grounded here. Exhale, take both legs forward. Inhale, back up. Getting the core warmed up. Right leg forward, exhale. Inhale, lift. Left leg forward, exhale. Inhale, lift. Both legs forward. Inhale, lift. One more time, right leg. And up. Left leg. And up. And both legs forward. And up. Go ahead, hug your knees into your chest, pull them in. Take an adjusting breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Good. Yet still doing some work for the core here. Keep the knees drawn into your chest again. Take your arms out to the side, or you could do cactus arms. Take a deep breath in. With your exhale, drop your knees to your right side. Inhale, bring the knees back to center. And exhale, drop the knees to your left side. Inhale back. Exhale right. Inhale back. Exhale left. And keep going. Inhale to center. Exhale to a side. And if you'd like to, you can turn your chin away from the knees, completing the spinal rotation here. Twisting on exhale. Returning on inhale. And then take your time getting there. As your knees drop to the right this time, go ahead and keep them there. Turning the chin to the left and trying to ground your left arm and left shoulder. And then inhale, bring the knees back to center, and exhale, take them to the left. Grounding your right arm, your right shoulder, turning the chin to the right, and staying for just a few breaths. Good. Inhale back to center. Then exhale, bring the feet flat to the floor, heels underneath your knees, about hip width apart, prepping for bridge pose. Good. Bring your arms down by your sides and we'll move in and out of bridge pose several times. And we'll actually do it in a similar way we did it last week if you were here. If you weren't, don't worry, I'll guide you through it. But with your next inhale, lift your arms all the way overhead again. Lift your hips toward the ceiling. Good. Leave the arms overhead. Exhale, bring the hips back down. Good. Inhale, hips lift. Keep the arms overhead. This time as you come down, roll down a single vertebrae at a time, slowly articulating through the spine. Hips are the last to touch the floor, that is. And then with your inhale, go and curl the tailbone under and roll up a single vertebrae at a time. Okay, and just keep doing that. Exhale, rolling down the spine. And inhale, rolling up the spine. Keep going, rolling up and rolling down. And just a few more times. And last one, rolling up with this inhale, and we'll stay in the pose. Hips pressing toward the ceiling, your breastbone, your sternum reaching toward your chin, deepening the back bend in your upper back. Relax your throat. Inhale, pressing up to your highest point. And exhale, rolling down. Good. Bring your arms back down as well. Take an adjusting breath here. And then from bridge prep, go ahead and walk your feet forward, so away from the hips about 6 inches. And then take your feet as wide apart as your yoga mat. Your arms can hang out to the sides here. Good. And there is a breathing rhythm for this one, so listen carefully. With your inhale, you're going to drop your knees to your right, to the right. With your exhale, ground your lower back to the floor and bring the knees back to center. Your feet stay mat width apart the entire time, by the way. Then inhale, knees to the left. Then exhale, ground the lower back to bring the knees back. Good. Inhale right. Exhale to center. Inhale left. Exhale to center. And keep going. Inhaling to a side. Exhale, ground the lower back to bring the knees back. And then inhale to the other side. Inhaling to a side. Exhaling to center. And feeling the legs loosening in the hip sockets here as you move from side to side. There's also a slight elongation of the side of the body around the hip when you drop the knees to a side, especially on that inside leg side. Good. Now, as you drop the knees to the right this time, go ahead and stay. Make sure the feet are still about mat width apart here. And feel that inside knee, your left knee on this side, dropping more toward the floor as if the leg is tractioning out of the hip socket. Now for this next instruction, pay attention to lefts and rights and parts of the body. You're going to take your right ankle, so the one that's on the outside here, and you're going to place it on top of your left thigh or knee. So the bottom ankle comes on to the top of the left thigh or knee. You're not really forcing that leg down at all. You're just kind of letting the weight of the right leg traction the left leg a bit more out of the hip sock. Breathing here. Now, one more adjustment you can make here if you'd like to. Your left arm, figure out which one of that is, the left arm, can just sweep overhead, knuckles on the floor above you, just creating more length on that left side. Good. And then go ahead and sweep that left arm back down. Take the right ankle off of the left knee. Come back to center for a moment. Make sure the feet are mat width apart. And then we'll do that hold on the other side. So go ahead and knock the knees to the left. Feel that right hip lift up off the floor. Good. And that inside knee, the right knee is tractioning toward the floor, guiding toward the floor. And if you want to deepen that, you can take your left ankle that's on the bottom and place it on top of the right thigh or knee. Not forcing it, but just adding the weight of the leg to traction the right leg out of the right hip. Breathe. And of course, for the last few breaths, if you want, you can sweep the right arm up and over, knuckles on the floor above you. The right arm, feeling that length on the right side of the body. Good. Sweeping the right arm down. Release the left foot and come back to center. Feel sensation for a moment. And then when you feel ready, go ahead and roll over onto your abdomen. Rolling on over. And once you get there, bring your hands flat to the floor underneath your shoulders, elbows bending and squeezing into your sides. We'll do a little bit of work with Cobra and Locust Pose. So starting by keeping the legs on the floor, with your inhale, roll the shoulders down the back and peel the heart and head away from the ground. As you exhale, release down and turn your head to the right. Good. Lifting the legs this time. Lift the head, chest, and legs. Locust pose. Inhale. Head comes through center. And then exhale, release down, turning the head to the opposite side. Good. Leaving the legs on the floor. Inhale, lift just the head and chest. Cobra pose. Exhale, release down, turn the head. Lifting up with the legs, head, chest, legs. Locust pose. Exhale, release, turn the head. Again, leaving the legs on the floor. Cobra lift. And then exhale, release down, turn the head. Inhale, locust pose. Exhale, release. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, release. Locust pose. And down. One more time for each pose. Cobra, inhale. And down. Locust, inhale. And down. Good. From here, curl the toes under. Push up to hands and knees. Exhale, lift the hips into the air, downward facing dog. Now, before you start walking the dog out, go ahead and just feel some length in your spine. So you can bend the knees a bit more to get that length, shooting the hips toward the ceiling behind you. This idea of flattening out the back. Good. And then you can walk the dog out. Pressing a heel to the floor, bending the opposite knee. Good. Then inhale, gently float down onto hands and knees. And exhale, child's pose, releasing the feet. And in child's pose, really feel your hips grounding toward your heels. That length in the lower back here. Good. And then with your next inhale, come up to hands and knees. Wonderful. All right, look forward at the screen for a moment. I'm going to demonstrate this next exercise. We're going to come into downward facing dog in just a moment here. Now, the goal, well, there's many goals here, but one of the goals is to keep the back flat. It's tempting to come forward around the back a bit. You're going to try to keep the hips lifting here. We'll take a deep breath in, and then I'll bend the knees. Bring the knees toward the floor, only going as far as you feel like you can, and then straightening the legs. Okay, so you might only bend halfway, and that's still good here, but keeping the back flat the entire time. So it'll be exhale, knees down, and then extending back up. All right, your turn. We'll just do it a few times, all right? Downward facing dog. Now establish that flat back, hips reaching toward the ceiling behind you. Then take a deep breath in. With your exhale, bend your knees, bring the knees toward the floor, and then straighten the legs. Good, let's do that again. Bend the knees and straighten the legs. Let's do two more. Straighten, exhale, bend the knees, last time. And then inhale, straighten the legs. Good. Walking your hands back now to meet your feet coming into the standing forward fold. Knees are bending slightly here. Release the head, neck and shoulders and arms. And then bend your knees a bit deeper and roll yourself all the way up to standing. Feeling sensation for a moment as you come to the standing position. Getting to standing a little bit later in class today, but that's okay. All right. So we're going to move into our sun salutation right now because we're getting to standing a little bit later in the class. And we'll start slower. We'll build our way up into more of a fluid motion as we go along. And the final round, we'll probably hold some of the postures for a little bit, okay? We'll work with Warrior One today. So stepping to the top of your mat. And as you do so, just feel yourself grounded, your feet on the floor, that support beneath your feet, rising up through the body, through the bones, the muscles, all the way to the top of your head. Your shoulders letting down your back. And find your breath in this body. Inhale and exhale. And in our sun salutations, we try to move with the breath as much as we can, allowing the breath to support us from posture to posture. Bring your palms to your heart. With your next inhale, sweep your arms down, back and up. With your exhale, bend the knees, chair prep, sweep the arms behind you. Inhale, chair pose. Stay for the exhale. Inhale, straighten the legs, reaching up and back. Exhale, hinge at the hips and swan dive, fold forward. Press palms to shins, halfway up, inhale. Exhale, release down, step your right foot back. Take the back foot flat to the floor, toes pointing forward about 45 degrees. Bend the left knee deeply. Inhale, sweep the arms forward, peel the chest away from the thigh, coming into the Urdhva Warrior One. Good. Inhale, straighten the left knee. Think about hinging at the hips as you bring the heart forward and down. Good. Stay for the inhale. And then exhale, carefully step back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, float down onto hands and knees. Exhale, bend the elbows in toward your waist, bring your chest down to the floor and release the hips. Grounding the hips, lift the head, chest, and legs, locust pose, inhale. Exhale, floating down, curl the toes under, push up to hands and knees and back to downward dog. Staying for a breath. And then go ahead and lift the right leg into the air. And then exhale, swing or carry, step the right foot between the hands, help it through. Back foot turns flat again, toes pointing forward about 45 degrees. Bend the right knee this time. Inhale, sweep the arms forward, peel the chest away from the thigh. Warrior One. Staying for the exhale. And inhale, straighten the right knee. Hinge at the hips, fold down, exhale. Stay for the inhale. And exhale, step the left foot forward, standing forward fold. Palms to shins, halfway up, chest parallel to the floor. And exhale, fold down. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side. Nice strong back as you lift all the way up, please. And exhale, palms to the chest. Take an adjusting breath. Good. With your next inhale, sweep down and up. Exhale, bend the knees, chair prep, chair pose. Stay for the exhale. Reach up, inhale, and exhale, swan dive, fold forward and down. Palms to shins. Exhale, release, step the left foot back, back foot flat to the floor, pointing forward 45 degrees. Bend the right knee, reach the arms forward, lift up, Warrior One. Staying for the exhale. Inhale, straighten the right knee. And exhale, fold over it. Deep breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, float down onto hands and knees. Exhale, chest press. Bring the chest to the floor. Release the hips, ground them. Head, chest, and legs lift, inhale. And exhale, release. Curling the toes under, push up to hands and knees. And back to downward facing dog. Good. In down dog, the left leg lifts this time. Exhale, step it on through. Back foot flat to the floor. Again, toes pointing forward slightly. Bend the left knee. Reach the arms forward and up. Warrior One. Good. Straighten the knee. And fold. Deep breath in. And exhale, step forward. Halfway up, inhale. And exhale, fold down. Sweeping the arms out to the sides, come all the way up, inhale. And palms to the heart. Again, inhale, reach up. Bend the knees, chair prep. Chair pose. Lift. And fold. Halfway up. And down. Right foot steps back. Warrior One. Bend the front knee. Come on up. Inhale, straighten the knee. Exhale, fold over it. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hands and knees to chest press. Inhale. Exhale. Hips ground. Lift the head, chest, and legs. Inhale. Exhale, release. Curl the toes under. Push up. And back to downward facing dog. Right leg lifts when you get there. Step it on through. Back foot flat to the floor. Good. Warrior One. Straighten the knee. Fold over it. Inhale. And exhale, step forward. Palms to shins. And down. Sweeping the arms out to the sides, come all the way up. Palms to the heart. Again, inhale, sweep up. Chair prep. Chair. Lift. And fold. Halfway up. And down. Left foot steps back. Back foot flat. Warrior one. Straighten the knee. Fold over it. Inhale. And exhale, downward facing dog. Hands and knees, chest press. Inhale. Exhale. Round the hips. Head, chest, and legs lift locust. Exhale, downward facing dog, pushing up and back. Left leg lifts and step it through. Back foot flat, warrior one. Straighten the knee and fold over it. Inhale and exhale, step forward. Palms to shins. Exhale, release. Sweep the arms out to the sides, come all the way up. Palms to the heart. Final round, inhale, reach. Chair prep. Chair pose. Staying in chair pose. Find your breath here. Focus the eyes to a single point in front of you and breathe with that point. It's just you and that point. That's all that's here. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, folding forward and down. Palms to shins. Exhale, release. Let's do that 2 more times. Halfway up. Exhale, wave the spine down. Halfway up. Exhale down. Good. This time, step your right foot back. Come on up for warrior. Warrior one, that is. Good. Staying in the pose. Keeping the front knee bending, please bring your hands onto your hips. With your hands on your hips, go ahead and bring the elbows closer together behind you. Feel the chest open and start to turn the chest toward the ceiling. And deepening the back bend in your upper back. Breathe. Good. Inhale, straighten the front knee or reach the arms up. With a flat back, exhale, reach forward as you fold over the left leg. I'll stay for a few. Deep breath in. Downward facing dog. Okay, from down dog, I want you to come into plank pose, straight line push-up. And if you really need to, knees can be down here, but keep the core engaged. There's this idea that the tailbone is drawing down towards your heels. Make sure that your hips are not sinking. If anything, they're too high, not too low. Ideally in line with your shoulders. 3, 2, and 1. With the knees down or lifted, go ahead and bring yourself down to the floor. Whew, take an adjusting breath from that plank. Grounding the hips, go ahead and lift the head, chest, and legs, locust pose. And just 3 breaths here. And as we stay in the pose for these 3 breaths, just think about squeezing the legs toward each other and then lifting up a bit higher. One more breath in and exhale, release. Taking an adjusting breath. Beautiful. Go ahead and curl the toes under. Push up to hands and knees and back to downward facing dog. All right. In down dog, feel the hips reaching toward the ceiling behind you. Keep the back flat. Take a deep breath in. With your exhale, bend your knees and bring them toward the floor. Inhale, straighten the legs. We're gonna do that 2 more times. Again, only bending your knees as far as you can. Exhale, bending the knees. Inhale, straightening them. One more time. Inhale. Good. Lifting the right leg up. Exhale, step it on through. Back foot flat. Come on up, warrior. Last time. Staying in the pose. Good. Bring the hands onto your hips. Squeeze the elbows together behind you. Feel the chest turn toward the ceiling, looking up. Keep the front knee bending. Good. Inhale, straighten the right knee. Lift the arms up. Inhale. And exhale, fall down over that right leg. Staying for just a few breaths. And then switching things up a bit, I'm going to ask you to step back to downward facing dog again. And then inhale, float down onto hands and knees, release the feet. Exhale, child's pose. And before we rest too deeply in child's pose, I'd like you to lift your palms, fingertips on the ground, like you're clawing the floor. And then walk your fingertips away from you, so forward a few more inches as the arms extend. And as you're reaching forward with the fingertips, feel your hips powerfully ground toward your heels. And so you're reaching in both directions. The hips are reaching toward the floor and the fingers are reaching forward in front of you. Big length along the back body, shoulders, and arms. Reach, 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 reach. And with an exhale, the forearms drop to the floor, the head drops to the floor, and the body relaxes in child's pose. So from here, we'll work with rabbit pose. I've taught this quite a few times, so I'm not going to demonstrate it unless you need to look at it first, but I'll just guide you through it. With your forehead, the top of the forehead or the hairline on the floor, and keeping your forearms relaxed right where they're at right now. You're going to lift the hips and rock to the top of your head, keeping your head on the floor the entire time. And then exhale, release the hips down, coming back to the hairline. And then rocking forward to the top of the head. And then exhale, rocking back to the hairline. Just keep going, keeping the head on the ground the entire time and not efforting in the shoulders or arms at all. Letting that weight of the body come into the head slightly and not going any further than the very top of your head. If you start to go into the back of the head range, you're overextending the neck. So just stop at the top of the head. Inhale, rocking forward. Exhale, rocking back. Just keep going a little bit longer. And then rock into the pose. Again, with just the very top of the head, not any further. And stay. And of course, if this feels like too much pressure on the head, you can push into the floor a little bit, or you can just come out of the pose. You don't have to do it. Breathe. Good. And carefully release the hips back, coming back to the hairline. Lovely. All right. So from here, go ahead and walk your hands back, coming up to a seat. Feel sensation as you do. You might feel this downward movement of energy from the head down to the base of your body. Then while you continue to adjust, I'll demonstrate quickly this next exercise. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to come back onto your back, and we're going to practice what's called fish pose. Now, the important thing with fish pose is that your, sorry, adjusting my headset, your hips stay on the ground. Do not lift your hips. This is not bridge pose. Okay, that's the first thing to mention. And one thing I have people do to remember that is I have you sit on your hands and the palms are on the ground here. This also works as a device for the pose itself. So sitting on my hands, I'll press my elbows into the floor and lift the chest away from the ground here. And I'm doing this slowly. You'll do this a bit quicker. And then you'll drop the head back and bring the top of the head to the floor. This opens up the throat, opens up the chest, and we'll breathe here for a few rounds. When the time comes to come down, press the elbows into the floor again. Look up at the feet first, and then release the head down to the floor. Okay, that last part's important because when your head is upside down, you don't really know where it's at in space. And so you sometimes if you don't come down that way, you could like skid your head on the floor and hurt your neck. So not trying to do that. I'll lead you through it. So go ahead and come onto your back if you're not there already. Just come to lay down. And only hold this pose as long as you feel comfortable. I'm going to guide you through a process, but if it starts to feel too wonky, just come out of it, all right? Once you're on your back, go ahead and sit on your hands, palms on the floor. Good. And then just kind of scoot your elbows as close into the sides of your body as you can, all right? This will give you more leverage for what's happening next. And then from here, press the elbows into the ground, lift the chest away from the floor, feel the chest puff up, drop the head back, and then bring the top of the head to the floor. And breathe. Keep the chest puffing. Fish pose. I guess in some context this looks like a fish. I don't get it, but it's called fish pose. Good. And after about 5 breaths, press the elbows into the floor again. Look up at your feet. And then release the back and head down. And you can scoot off your hands and just feel sensation for a moment. And you might feel a release in your neck after all of that, both after rabbit pose and fish pose. Good. So just another posture or two before we rest here for a little bit longer. I'm going to ask you to bring your knees into your chest again. And we'll just do the same lying twist that we did earlier. So arms out to the sides. Just go ahead and drop the knees to the right. Feel your left shoulder and arm ground and turn your chin to the left. And really think about bringing that left shoulder blade closer to the ground. Feeling the navel pull into the body and twist with you to the left. Good. With your next inhale, unwind. And then take the knees to the left. Feel your right shoulder, your right arm ground more. Turn the chin to the right. And just like the first side, feel the shoulders grounding. The navel pulling into the body and twisting with you to the right. Good. Inhale, unwind. Hug your knees in. And like at the beginning, it might feel good to rock from side to side, but it also might feel good just to hold them still. Hmm. And if you are rocking from side to side, go ahead and come to stillness for just a breath or two. And then extending the legs to the floor. And have your heels about mat width apart, the toes flopping out to the sides. Your arms by your sides, palms face up. Unclench your jaw and relax all those muscles of the face. And letting your eyes close. And I want you to just notice where you feel sensation in your body, most specifically your abdomen, maybe slightly lower toward the muscles of your pelvis, maybe around the heart, or maybe in the head, or maybe even in the throat. Kind of those five regions. Which one speaks to you the most right now? Which one has the most energy or sensation around it? Knowing that you can't make a bad choice here. And once you're aware of that, be aware of that region and see just a ball of light there. And breathe with that ball of light. peace, peace, peace. And take a fuller, more expansive breath, feeling light fill your entire body and mind. Before you come up, if there's anything you want to leave behind on the mat, anything that's not serving you, any darkness or worries or just heavy energy, you can leave it on your mat, even if you're not sure what it is. Making gentle movements in the body, shaking off what needs to be left, and feel it stay there as you roll to your right side and coming up to a seat just a little bit lighter than before. Bring your palms together and lowering the chin. Honor yourself for the work you've done here tonight, feeling gratitude for the effort you put forth. And as always, may this effort and this practice continue to serve you. So until next time, namaste.